also we're going to talk about like evolution and the evolution of, you know, our job roles over time, right? So I think that there's a lot that can be said about that. And I just, you know, before we started recording, I said to Kevin, you know, technologists. He was like, what? And I talked about how, for example, a network and systems technician, like that's the title, that's their civil service title, network and system technician, network and system specialist 1, network and system specialist 2. However, I don't really see them that way anymore, because to me, a network and systems technician is somebody that, you know, went and did a specific job, and that was the job that they did, break fix, you know, things of that nature. However, I see them more as technologists right now, almost like scientists but technologists. Like they're problem solvers. They're people that are saying, you know, going into a classroom and seeing that a teacher has something that they want to do, and it's they're in there thinking outside the box to make it happen. And one of the examples that I'll give is over at Duffield's or Boston, I believe it might have been both locations potentially. They were looking about the chicks and the chicks that hatch overnight. And they wanted to live stream that out to the kids and the parents, because what if the chicks hatched in the middle of the night, you guys? What are we going to do with those chicks? I actually think it might have been Karen Picka. Hi, Karen, if you're listening. What are we going to do if the chicks hatch overnight? Because that's disappointing for the kids, but how cool would it be if part of the dinner conversation at home would be that the kids and the parents could open up a live stream that the district provided to see what's going on with the chicks? I mean, that is very cool. And think about all the different grade levels and what they do and what they've done over years. Like, I think we've done butterflies, right? We've done caterpillars. I mean, there's a bunch of different, I don't think they're the same thing. I don't. But I remember when I was in second grade, they had the crayfish, right? We had crayfish. So there's lots of different things that we could be doing that for. And I remember specifically that Santo was working repeatedly every day, going back and forth to the building to say, well, that didn't work. I got to go back and try something else. And that is not simple. You know, that is not just the simplicity of a job of network and systems technician. You know, it's the idea of being a technologist and saying, like, I'm a problem solver and I'm here to give a best solution or a solution to help you think outside the box and deliver things that are, you know, what you want them to be for the kids.
Making your dreams come true.
We try.
Yeah, we try.
We certainly do try.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, the same applies to teachers too. I know Victoria was talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, so if you think about years ago, I'm going to think about when I was in the classroom as a student. It was, you know, on the secondary level mostly. It was you went to class, you just looked straight at the overhead projector, and you couldn't really see what the teacher was doing because the arm was in the way. And so you had to wait for them to walk away and then, you know, write down your notes in a binder. And then, you know, bell would ring, close up, and you'd leave. And if you got to talk, that was like amazing.
Well, you know, I was always talking.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you got to talk, if the teacher allowed you to, like, talk about what you were learning.
Her students probably didn't get any words.
Yes, they did. I let my students talk.
Then that was amazing. But now it's totally different because we're encouraging the students to problem solve, just like we're doing in our jobs, and we want to see them in groups and all of these different things. So, you know, I think it applies universally. It's not just
not that the old way doesn't exist, right? So, you know,
a new way.
Yeah, it's not that Kevin's not still going in and handling something that is a simple break fix. You know, like he's still doing that. So are all of the technicians. But they are faced now, more than ever, with helping make that innovative experience for the teachers in the classroom come to life way more than they ever were before, and to add different layers of, you know, experiences for students. You know, we talk about AR, VR, you know, now we have to know what's going on with AR, VR and things of that nature. That certainly was not a part of, you know, the technology department 10 years ago, you know, but now that's part of what we have to know. Think about the Z-Space labs and constantly updating the Z-Space labs. Again, uncharted waters until we had Z-Space here. So, you know, the nature of the job, especially for those that really have been here quite some time and started, you know, when really what happened was everybody had a Promethean or a smart board in their room, or a projector, potentially an Elmo, overhead projector that they wrote on the little plastics with the Expo marker. That's what the job was, and the nature of the job has changed so dramatically that you're really looking for a certain type, like let's say when we're hiring in a department or we're looking for somebody, you're looking for somebody that's not just somebody that's coming in, and it's the same with a teacher. You're looking for somebody that knows more than just the material and can kind of regurgitate the material.
Right.
You're looking for somebody that can use the material to create an experience for kids. And, in technology, we are a department that's looking for people that are thinking outside of the box to create an experience for the teaching staff, for the clerical staff, for the students. And, I'm very thankful that we have really filled those roles with people that are excited and enthusiastic to do that,
Yeah, TJ being like the Chromebook repair guy, he's like our main point person, but also he's going to be a person on what's up and coming as far as 3D printing and stuff like that.
I mean, he legitimately, you guys out there in podcast land, he legitimately built 11 3D printers this summer.
Yeah.
The box arrived, the boxes, and he, from nothing, assembled 11 3D printers to go into the libraries of every building. That's not exactly something that was part of our repertoire before, but here we are doing that.
And the good part is that he's had experience in the past with that, and that kind of helped. Even I remember when I first met him on his resume, he had mentioned that he had experience. I think he worked in the library prior, so he had that experience. So, and actually similar to what you said, finding that that partnership with somebody that has skills that could be utilized. And
Absolutely.
Here we are, a few years later, and we're crossing that bridge in the department, bringing 3D printing in, and he's the point person for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about, I always try to find a way to connect with, teachers and how we can understand teachers and how teachers can understand us and bridging that gap. I mean, it's the same idea that you are looking for somebody that's going to come in to create experiences for kids, even as a teacher. You know what I mean? And somebody that's going to be innovative. And I'll talk about Jen. Jen Mealy is another person in our department. She handles a lot with, in conjunction with Kevin with the iPads and apps and iPads. And she came up this summer to say, let's have self-service for, so that if people want apps, they don't have to go through this whole process. If we've already vetted them, they're going to go into the self-service kiosk and you can just install them on the iPads because we've already approved them. And that's not something that she had to do, right? She didn't have to come up with that idea and she didn't have to make that happen. But she said it's going to make it work faster, it's going to make it work easier, it's going to be more accessible to people, so let's do this.
Right.
And that's why I say that there's a difference between somebody that is a technician or a technologist, because it's somebody that's saying, let me look at my surroundings, let me look at what's going on, and how can I innovate? How can I do something different? And I'm very, and I probably say this every episode, please don't be sick of me saying it, but I'm very proud of the way in which we do that departmentally. I could speak to the same of Victoria, what we came up with for our PD, our asynchronous PD. I can't really take credit for that. That really came out of Victoria and her ideas of saying, let's have a badging system. Let's do this. And clearly I collaborated with her, but that was kind of her brainchild there for that. So. I helped her make that vision come to life, but that was really, hers from the gate. And, that is what we're looking for and what we embrace and what we value here in technology is really just that idea that, growth is good. Innovation is ideal. Those types of mantras, mistakes are happy accidents because it could lead you onto something that gets you to a solution,
Just threw in some Bob Ross there. That's good.
Happy little trees.
Yeah, Bob Rose is awesome. Was awesome.
I think, and this is totally off topic, but I feel like everyone's okay with it. My son has this, wild, big curly hair, and I'm thinking that for Halloween I'm going to have him be Bob Ross because I could totally, pull that off.
Go over them.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. So stay tuned, everyone in podcast land, when we get to our Halloween episode, because I'm pretty sure my son's going to be Bob Ross.
I'll look back on it and think it's cool. I don't know if in the moment, but
No, he won't like it.
it's alright.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, what did you do to me?
Yeah, but I think that in this field, and even in the teaching fields, and anyone that's working in a school, we're in different times. We're in a different world than we were. Victoria and I used to talk about technology is a tool. It's not a tool anymore. It's just not, and that is really the reality. Like, technology has become something that we have to accept, and I know that not everybody loves to hear that, but we're in 2022. And that's the way it is, like, we have to accept it as a part of our everyday world and learn best practices and become innovators in our field on, this is here. It's not going anywhere. So how are we balancing it? How are we
embracing it?
How are we putting our best foot forward? And I think potentially pre-pandemic, technology was a tool. It was a vessel to get you somewhere. And now that has grown so exponentially that
I feel like it's just a piece of you that you just carry everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, do you have a choice to put it into a lesson? Yes. But I feel like the chances are more now than before that you're just going to naturally create these experiences that kind of trend towards the technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm finding a lot more where it used to be, what do I do to include it? Now it's, what do I do if it's not working? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to have that lesson if for some reason something's not working? And I think, we talk a lot about being a customer service department, and we do our absolute best to make sure it is all up and running and it is all working every minute of every day, but there's not 100 of us. So, unfortunately, there are, some gaps here or there in certain places, and that's just not the natural inclination of things. But now I feel like I have to teach people, okay, listen, if you were trying to do this Nearpod and for some reason Nearpod is down today, because sometimes it's not even us. Like, for example, I had Matt Farron trying to create accounts for the administrators the other day, and it was the day before the training, and the platform was down. And he, said to me, I can't do this because the platform itself is down. What do you do? So now sometimes it's teaching teachers the opposite. It used to be teaching teachers how to include the technology, but now it's also, okay, you're here and the platform is down, and how can you still get the same experience that you had set up and not be stuck without a lesson today? Because people have become so reliant on the technology. And that is another part of the kind of innovative think outside the box for our department, is like, how are we helping people in the event that there's something outside of our control that we can't control, adjust and make that adjustment. There was one point where it was like somebody's smart board is completely broken and we can't fix it right now. We're waiting and we're getting the piece that we need, and we had to give them like an old school projector just to be able to project what they needed to at the very least, and it's rolling with that tide.
We get creative. We have to sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's also holds true with like the software platforms as well. Like, I remember in the spring, I was working with a world language class, and they were trying to record their videos on Flipgrid, and it just kept circling. And I received an email like, nothing's loading, like, on every single Chromebook. Is it the Chromebook? Is it the district Wi-Fi? And it ended up being just Flipgrid itself. So just know that that's also a possibility. So it's like, okay, what am I doing in this case in point? Like, they're all ready to record. Like, they have all their bullet points of information. What are we doing? And it's hard because usually you would give them technology as like their extra piece of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you finished your work, now you can do this with technology. And now it's like, okay, well, the technology's part of the lesson, so what am I doing when it's not working? And it's those things we have to keep in mind as well.
Yo, you just brought up a great point as well. I just said yo.
Yeah.
Which is that sometimes, right, we
Gotta do
don't
it
know.
with anything.
We don't know. Like, there are times where I'll open the door and say, Kevin, somebody's reporting X, Y, or Z, what's going on? Just look at me and say, I don't know. I have to look into it. And right, we don't just know everything right away. And like Victoria just said, sometimes it's clearly we look at ourselves first. Is it something that's going on internally?
Right.
But a lot of times it's not. A lot more often than not, it's something that's going on with the case in point. The password resets at the high school. Everybody thought that we crashed our server when everybody tried to reset their passwords at the same time, but really it was a class link issue.
Yes.
terribly timed, right? And it's just my luck only, right? That at the exact time that the whole high school student population was trying to reset their password, that ClassLink had a problem. But that is the accurate truth. And here we are trying to figure out and say, well, we're scrambling. What happened? What did we do? And really it was not on us at all. It was completely on ClassLink. And those are uncontrollable kind of entities to our job. But, we spent a lot of time looking into what what the problem is. And oftentimes it is not on us, It's like a scavenger hunt for what's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
and sometimes you don't even find that. You don't get to the end of the scavenger hunt. You don't even find an answer. We have to write back. So sorry. We really don't know why this happened, but try again and using a different browser. That's what I always say. When in doubt, change your browser.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also a process. Like, we look internally. Like, if I come across an issue with platform or whatever, I'll reach out to the IT department. If it's not that, switch up your browser. Usually we suggest Google Chrome, but if it's not working, use something different. And then also going on Twitter and just checking out the software platform company. Like, sometimes they'll put we are down currently, or going to their homepage or something if you can even access it. But Twitter is usually my go-to. And sometimes I'll even message the company itself, hey, is something going on? And their PR person will get back to me hey, you're right, we're down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened with the Flipgrid situation. They got back to me. It wasn't right away. It was within an hour. And of course, the activity was already done, but at least we knew it wasn't anything on our end. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, this podcast was fun because it took a number of different way leads on to way. It took a number of different kind of pathways. But I think the message here is that everyone's job has changed regardless of what you do in the field of education. It has really morphed in a very quick rate over the past, even pre-pandemic. It was getting there. I think the pandemic kind of sped the process up a little bit, but
it's not cookie
you know
cutter.
what's really funny is that, so when Alise and I were quote unquote paired up to work with each other, it's I don't think anyone would have ever thought to pair up a technology integration specialist with a district mentor before. And that was new. And, our first goal was to help the new teachers, years 1 to 4, and being prepared. And looking back at that
so right.
evolution,
You're so right.
Those teachers now are so equipped because we got them when they started,
Yeah.
and we started this evolution of growth in technology. And though at the time I think everyone thought it was how did these two blend together, I think now we can look back and say well, it
I remember
worked.
it vividly when I got the job and Dean said, I want you to meet with Victoria and, work on, see how you two can work together to, reach the new teachers. And,
I think both of us were just
okay.
are you sure? How does this work? We both personally and professionally did not know how it would go over. How are we approaching this?
Then we found out we had the exact same birthday, and we were okay, we can make this work.
And then she bought me a really awesome cake.
I did.
So that was a plus. And then I was all right, I'll try to like her.
Yeah. But you're right. We had no idea, years prior, that what we did in those first few years was going to set those people up for success. I remember when the pandemic first hit, the texts and the messages that I got that were
Thank you.
thank you. I literally just was able to just roll with that in such a way that, it didn't overwhelm me, so I'm thankful that we had that opportunity to collaborate. And I know I wouldn't be here in what I'm doing today if it wasn't for that marriage that we had early on,
And then I told her we had to break up because she became my boss, so that's where we're at now. But, yeah, I think a fun activity for everyone listening would be to reflect on their evolution of teaching.
I love that. I love that as an assignment, Victoria, to reflect on your, teaching evolution. Some of you have only been, in it a short period, and some of you have been in it, like me, forever. So, talk about that evolution. They're looking at me like I'm crazy right now, just so you know. I know you guys out there in podcast land can't see them, but they're looking at me like I'm nuts.
The amounts of eye looks like the
Yeah.
that we switch. Me and Kevin were like, okay.
All right, podcasters.
Take care. Brush your hair.